Welcome to Enviro Close-Up. I am Carl Grossman. The subject, the New York Environmental Law and Justice Project. With me is Joel Kupferman, who is the head attorney of the project. Welcome, Joel.
It's good to see you again.
A major project of the project has been the environmental damage caused by the attack on the World Trade Center and the ineptitude of the federal government, the lack of vigor of the federal government in doing anything about it.
That's true. And we have to say that the offices of the law project is about 10 blocks away from the World Trade Center. And we were there from the very beginning, breathing that air and speaking to the people working and living down here.
I should also note you're the attorney for the firefighters union, and there's no group of New Yorkers who were more impacted in terms of environmental/health consequences than the firefighters. Why didn't the federal government do what it should have? I mean, apparently it covered up. It didn't acknowledge the damage that was caused. I mean, what was it all about?
I think people at the local level, at the EPA, for whatever reasons, did try to come out and let some word out that things were okay or not so okay. It seems we know that someone from the White House, the head of the White House Council on Environmental Equality, called New York or emailed them and basically said, change your message and tone it down. Leave out the word that you have to bring in someone professional to clean up your home, and also just tone down all the alarm. We want to get people back. Where? Back to Wall Street. So.
Okay, so they were concerned about the economy. What's so bad about that if they wanted to get people back in business again, and so forth?
Well, even if you're just interested in business, you're taking those business people, those Wall Street traders, putting them back into dangerous conditions. And what the firefighters are going through, getting very, very sick, we're beginning to see that in other people. So in some ways, it's one way to endanger the business community in the medium and long run.
Well, what kind of dangerous conditions? I mean, apparently asbestos and some other toxins.
Asbestos, there was dioxins, there was PAHs, the whole host. It was a toxic nightmare.
Let's jump from an unnatural disaster to a natural disaster that you were also involved in pursuing in terms of environmental consequences and health consequences, Hurricane Katrina.
Well, I just came back about 2 weeks ago. I was down there for 2-3 days. One of the environmental advocates in New York found out that I've been working with some of the tribes up in the Northwest, and he said, please come down. There's 3-4 tribes that are related to the Biloxi bands that have been severely affected. So I went down, and I learned a lot in 2 days. What's interesting is where I was staying, I took a walk across to a firehouse. I speak to firefighters all the time, and I found out that they are very, very frightened that the firehouses that they're going to have to go back into that are covered with water are unsafe. And it seems to be a repeat story of the firefighters up here. They found out what we did, and they said, please come back and help, check this out. And also, at the same time, we came across a press conference that was going on from the Louisiana Bucket Brigade, which to us this group has been, in some ways, our heroes. They've been representing a lot of the refinery workers down there, and they came up a way of guerrilla testing the air around refineries, where they actually came up with a bucket where they, grabbed the air samples. They stopped doing the sampling because they just relied on EPA data. The data that EPA was doing the testing down there, and EPA, in their test results, 65% of the results showed high levels of benzene, above acceptable levels. And this time, they just came out with an excuse similar to what they did in New York, and they said, you have to average that out, and also you only really hurt if you look at it over an annual, a long-term exposure. And we said these people are exposed a long time. The scariest thing that happened down there, which is even scarier here, is that our oil policy is to get the oil and refineries back up. So here you have these people literally knee-deep in sediment that's contaminated. Yeah. The mold is growing faster than anywhere else, and the mold itself is danger. And we have these refineries back online. The refineries are back online with no environmental controls. That's been waived. Okay, so they basically ripped up the rules. And it's basically taking off the exhaust muffler from your car, your car. And I told someone the analogy that these people, from the sediment and the mold are getting bad, they're taken to the emergency room in the hospital, and the doctor's allowed to park his car in the waiting room with the engine running. And there's cancer clusters that were there before, and now I think you're going to see them go way off the chart.
Are there other similar types of public interest law projects and environmental justice projects elsewhere in the United States?
There are many, many other places, and part of our job is to connect with them.
Oh.
And recently I just became the chair of the Environmental Justice Committee of the National Lawyers Guild, and there's lawyers all around the country. And now we're beginning to reach out to each of the tribal nations. And it looks like we're going to be placing law students at tribes from Alaska down to Florida.
Well, that's frankly very refreshing to hear.
And we're working with there's some very good environmental law clinics, working with Pace, Columbia, and other schools. And now toxicologists and other doctors have come with us. The good payoff on this is that it's not the pay in greenbacks, but when we start working on cases, I can call the top people in academia, and many people come on saying, we heard that you're doing this, we're there to testify, we're there to do research, or whatever. So we're tapping resources that industry and some private individuals could never buy.
Bravo. We've been hearing from Joel Kupferman, who is the head attorney of the New York Environmental Law and Justice Project. You've been watching Enviro Close-Up. I'm Carl Grossman. For a copy of this or any Enviro video program, just visit our website, envirovideo.com, and thanks for watching.